Another crazy week in Ethereum news. Let's jump in. First, we want to thank Week in Ethereum News for providing us with their newsletter. This has all of the information that we use, and you can get it delivered directly to your inbox by going to weekinethereum.substack.com. Go ahead and check that out. First, we are going to start with Layer 1 news. This is the core Ethereum blockchain and everything that's going on the Layer 1 side. First, we're going to start with ultrasound money. We can see that the Ethereum supply is still very much going down. This is on a 7-day time horizon with almost 10,000 ETH that was negative for the week. So had about 30,000 ETH burned this week and about 17,000 created, so about net negative of 10,000. Again, when people use Ethereum, the transaction fees are burned. So Ethereum is a deflationary asset, which is even better than Bitcoin. Next, we're going to look at an announcement from Stakewise, announcing Stakewise v3. This is a new protocol that allows you to stake your Ethereum and keep it liquid. They are also built a marketplace of various different staking offers that will have different node operators, different performance, different infrastructure, different strategy. So if you have ETH and you want to get it staked, you can go ahead and check Stakewise v3. They're going live with 20 different launch partners. So go ahead and check that out if you want to earn yield on your ETH. Next, we are looking at DappNode. DappNode introduced their MEV smoothing pool, what they're calling Smooth, and it's a smoothing pool for solo stakers. Now, if you stake your Ethereum at home, which is very different than if you put it on Coinbase and stake it, or you put it in Lido or in Stakewise. If you run your own validator computer, then your rewards are sort of inconsistent. You'll get what they call chunky rewards. You'll get a big reward one day, a small reward another day, etc. And this new smoothing pool evens it out. So if you stake with providers like Coinbase, they smooth it out for you. If you're a solo staker, there is now a smoothing pool for you. And also, Obol Labs has a big announcement. Obol mainnet open beta is officially going live as of December 1st. So if you want to run a distributed validator cluster, you can go ahead and participate. This is what they're calling squad staking. So if you want to run an Ethereum validator, you and say 3 friends could each run a validator at your home. And then if 1 or 2 of them go down, as long as 1 or 2 of them are still up, then you guys are still going to get your rewards. So if you run your own staking infrastructure, this just makes it a little bit easier, a little less risky, and it's very important for the long term of Ethereum for distributed validator technology. Next, we're going to look at Layer 2 news. First, we have Rari Foundation. They announced the Rari chain, which is getting built as a new Layer 2, and it's going to be built on Arbitrum. So Arbitrum has a technology that allows blockchains to build on top of them. And so this is technically a Layer 3 chain, and it's the Rari chain. It's primarily for NFTs, but they says royalties are embedded at the node level, guaranteed on every transaction. So Arbitrum is continuing to grow with a new player building on top of them. Next, Optimism. Optimism executives are optimistic about Ethereum's future. This was a TechCrunch article. It is behind a paid wall, but it talks to the CEO and the CGO at Optimism and how they're very hopeful for the future. Next, last week we covered Blast, a new Layer 2 with native yield. Well, one of the main investors, Dan Robinson, came out and mentioned how, while they are a strong team and he does want to support them, they do have some concerns with the team and what they've done during the go-to-market and how he disagreed on some of the points. This was about Blast attracting a lot of depositors with questionable promises, and you can see last week's episode if you want to learn more about Blast. Next, Coinbase launched a build on-chain apps page on GitHub. It just basically allows you to streamline and automate early decisions when building a consumer product. It gives you Web 2 building blocks, on-chain building blocks, UI components, and much more. So go ahead and take a look at that if you do, or you know someone who wants to build on top of layer 2 Base. And next we have Base from Miami. Base is out there at Art Basel in Miami, and they have a lot of on-chain art. They're also doing two fun things, Base Hunt and Base House. You can learn more about those two things by go ahead and reading the link in the description. And next, Goldfinch. Goldfinch is a decentralized credit protocol that allows anyone to be a lender, not just the banks. And they are deploying on Base, on layer 2. So opening up a new market with lower transaction fees and better user experience. Okay, next we have the security news for the week. First, the DOJ, the attorney's office, said that the SIM swapper or a SIM swapper was sentenced to 8 years in prison. So this goes into a case of someone by the name of Amir who was 25. He did some SIM swapping and now he has to pay over $1.2 million and he is sentenced to prison. As we know, if you guys have crypto on exchanges, you need to be careful of SIM swapping. Always use two-factor authentication like Google or even physical YubiKeys if possible. Next, Circle refutes false claim on illicit financing. They basically just wrote a letter to Chairman Brown and Senator Warren that it's not true that crypto has a lot of illicit financing. This kind of actually should have been in the regulation side of things, and which is later on in this episode. But just know that there are companies out there who are trying to speak to the government and let them know the truth that crypto is not all bad. And next, this is an excerpt from the hacker who attacked Kyber last week. Kyber Network was attacked last week for around 50 million. If you didn't hear about that, you can watch our video from last week. And this basically just outlines what the hacker is requesting. He has a really crazy request here. He says, give me full executive control, authority over the smart contracts, all the documentation related to the company, and surrender all of the company's assets to me. He then says he'll buy out the executives, he will double the employees' salaries, and he will rebuild the protocol. This is sort of crazy narcissistic behavior, but it'll be interesting to find out what's going on. There are some really smart people in the Ethereum community who says that this hacker is likely to be caught because he did not cover his tracks properly. So we'll have some more news coming out in the future. Next, Twitter security self-audit. This takes about 15 minutes. If you want to learn how to secure your Twitter account, it goes into the different steps. You remove your phone number, you configure 2FA, you enable a password reset protect, you remove access from delegated accounts, etc. Go ahead and spend the 15 minutes, secure that account of yours. Next, Daniel, he shared some concerns about Curve's price oracles. Curve is a DeFi application on Ethereum, and he mentions that the oracles don't act like you think they do. Later on, Curve actually replied, and they covered that, here's the truth, learn how oracles work before using Curve. And so for people who are into the nitty-gritty details of how oracles work, you can go ahead and check that out. Finally, ecosystem news. We see an interesting chart about where the breakdown of Ethereum supply is, like where is Ethereum distributed. This is kind of a crazy image, but it shows where originally the total supply and then how it breaks down into the different protocols, how much is in layer 2 Ethereums, how much is in the deposit contract. And so you can check that out. It's just interesting to see how ETH flows over time. Less and less Ethereum is being put on exchanges and more of it is being put in protocols as time goes by. So that's exciting. And next we have a blog post from Vitalik called My Techno Optimism. This is a suggested read if you care about kind of the future of technology, but there's 3 views you can condense it into. There's the anti-technology view, people who feel safe with the past and scared of the future. Then there's the accelerationist view, people who look at the past as kind of dangerous and how we need to move forward even faster. And then Vitalik says his view is, there's dangers behind us, but there's multiple paths ahead. Some can be good, some can be bad. And so this is a pragmatic take from Vitalik Buterin, the creator of Ethereum. And next, BlackRock has their ETF pending approval, and someone is now predicting that Ethereum will rise to $28,000. So, it says some analysts are predicting Ethereum will go as high as $28,000. I don't really want to dig into this too much because that's kind of a crazy number, A lot of very smart investors are thinking Ethereum goes as high as 10,000 plus, but 20,000 plus is a little crazy. It still is the largest crypto network by everything except for price right now. Ethereum is a juggernaut, so stay tuned. And then sound.xyz, they had an announcement that says collect music, get rewards. And they've partnered with Coinbase on the Optimism chain, where you can collect different special tracks, get to know the artists, and earn rewards in the meantime. Finally, just regulation and corporate news, just one small thing. The SEC is looking for comments on Fidelity's spot Ethereum ETF application. So if anyone's interested, they have 21 days to comment on a proposed rule change. As we know, a lot of people are waiting for the Bitcoin ETF, and after that, we will likely have the Ethereum ETF. That is all for this week in Web3 stories and news. We look forward to seeing you next week.